And one of the things is like, for example, with GitHub, there's two things that oftentimes, I feel like are two biggest sources of kind of like, frustration. Is one, oftentimes we ask people, to focus more on like the underlying issue, certain like specific solutions, because it becomes kind of difficult for us to decipher like, what is actually the problem. Because we see like, the solution they want, but maybe the solution doesn't quite work, or we're kind of confused why they need it. So we're gonna add a issue template that's right now we're calling it a friction point observation. And what it's gonna be is essentially just documenting, be like the user, which can be yourself, it could be somebody else, it could be a new user who you noticed, struggling with something. You notice them, they want to do something, like for example, they want to bring their avatar in, or they want to join people. They have certain goal. And then, could be like things, what did they try to do, and what was the friction point? What did they, like, where did they get stuck? And this, the information we need. Like, we don't need to focus right away on what the solution is, we just need to understand where people get stuck. So now we'll have like, this issue template where if you notice this in your users, if you notice it in yourself, if you get stuck on something, you wanted to do something, create like this type of issue, and we can look at like, these issues and be like, we could think of like, those features that will solve these problems. Because a big part of our development work is actually, being kind of creative, figuring out, new features, figuring out solutions to problems. But with existing GitHub issues, we kind of get like, almost like, like kind of robbed of that process, where it's like, very focused on like, this is the solution like we want, like, and like, we just kind of implement like things like, people want, and like it kind of drains a lot of the fun and a lot of the kind of creativity from the development process. So by having issue that's specifically for this purpose, I feel this might kind of, help, direct people, like, to providing that kind of feedback. So that's the one type of issue. The other type of issue is like, it's stemming from another observation I kind of made. It's like where GitHub is pretty much like, all about things that are wrong. It's like, there's this bug, there's, there's like a missing feature, there's like something that's hard to do. It's all focusing on the negative stuff. And to sort of balance things, the other type of issue is going to be a positive observation. So if there's some change we made, because essentially right now, like, GitHub is like letting us know all the things that are wrong. But to balance it also helps us, to know what things we actually did right, what things helped you, what things improved your workflow, what features like excited you. So we're gonna have like another issue for it. And if you have like, any feedback, if something helped you, if something helped you and improved like your workflow, this would be a good issue type, and it would be good to let us know, because one, it helps to balance the mood, but also we will want to do more of that. If we see like, this is working, this is making people happy, this is making people excited, this is improving things, we want to do more of that. Like whenever like I see, for example, people, making cool things in Photon Dust, I'm like, I want to add more Photon Dust modules. I want to like, let people do even more things. And that's like a much better place to be, coming at things from features and improving things, than like the more kind of negative aspect. So I feel this is kind of help, like, in kind of multiple ways. And also like let us know, because we want to know, like, these things are wrong, and none of that's going away. It's still very important for us to know things that need to be fixed, that need to be improved. But it's also important to know the things that went right, because that helps us, both like mentally, like, like it's not all bad, like there's things that we did change that like are good, and we want to do more of that. And it's also like, giving a better direction, because we do want to keep doing things that keep making people happy and that keep making, it's like, it essentially just gives like, it's a much better kind of like, motivator. So those are going to be two new issue types I'm going to be adding to GitHub. They're going to appear soonish, and there's also going to be written description, so you can kind of, see more like they're meant to be for. One more thing I'm going to mention for the friction point observation, the important thing for those issues is to keep it objective, like, you know, keep emotion out of the issue, because what it does, it just kind of adds, you know, noise. And we want to focus on fixing the problems and fixing the friction points. So we're going to be asking people, you know, keep it neutral, keep focusing, you know, this is what I wanted to do, or this is what somebody wanted to do, this is where they got stuck. That's, like, you know, what we need to do to actually fix the issue. And that's going to be kind of mentioning those things. So that's one of the changes we're planning. And Bersert's asking, you mentioned it's a friction point template, but describe it as getting stuck. I consider friction points to be much more general than just getting stuck. For example, friction point for me could be general lack of QL for reducing repeated key presses and inputs to reduce hand pain. So, component, is it something that fits into the friction point category? Is friction point much more limited? Fixing definition, getting stuck, working with a system? No, it can be that too. Like, it's essentially like, friction doesn't mean necessarily just getting stuck. It might be like, you know, this thing you want to do is difficult, or like, you know, like, it could be either you didn't figure out how to do it, or like it's just too complicated to figure out. It was too much pain. So like, I would say it fits the definition. It's essentially, you know, something that is general.